He was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold as a slave, and left for dead. Yet this same man would one day save an entire nation from starvation, including the very brothers who betrayed him. This is the story of Joseph. Jacob had 12 sons, but he loved Joseph more than any of the others, for Joseph was the son of his old age. To show his favor, Jacob made him a richly ornamented coat, a coat of many colors. When his brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph made it worse by sharing his dreams. "Listen to this dream I had," he told his brothers. "We were binding sheaves in the field, and suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us?" And they hated him even more because of his dreams. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers who were tending the flocks far from home. As they saw him approaching in the distance, easily recognized by his colorful coat, they began to plot. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to one another. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these pits. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." Reuben, the oldest brother, convinced them not to kill him outright, but to throw him into an empty cistern instead, secretly planning to rescue him later. So they stripped Joseph of his ornamented coat and threw him into the pit. As they sat down to eat, they saw a caravan of traders approaching, their camels loaded with spices, on their way to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? Let's sell him to the traders instead." His brothers agreed. For 20 pieces of silver, they sold Joseph to the merchants, who carried him away to Egypt. Then they dipped his coat in goat's blood and brought it to their father, letting Jacob believe a wild animal had devoured his beloved son. Jacob was inconsolable. He mourned for his son for many days, refusing all comfort, certain that Joseph was dead. Meanwhile, in Egypt, Joseph was sold as a slave to Potiphar, an official of Pharaoh. But even in slavery, the Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered in his master's house until a false accusation landed him unjustly in prison. Even in the darkness of prison, Joseph did not lose faith. God gave him the ability to interpret dreams, and this gift eventually reached the ears of Pharaoh himself, who was troubled by dreams no one could explain. Joseph was brought before Pharaoh and interpreted his dreams. 7 years of abundant harvest would be followed by 7 years of severe famine across the land. Pharaoh was so impressed by Joseph's wisdom that he appointed him second in command over all of Egypt, responsible for preparing the nation for the coming famine. The boy who had been thrown into a pit and sold as a slave now stood as the most powerful man in Egypt after Pharaoh himself. When the famine came, it struck not only Egypt, but the land of Canaan as well, where Joseph's family still lived. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain, for he had heard that grain could be found there. And so, years after they had sold their brother into slavery, Joseph's brothers stood before him, not recognizing the powerful Egyptian official as the boy they had betrayed. Joseph recognized them immediately. After testing their character to see if they had truly changed, he could no longer contain himself. He wept aloud and said, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" His brothers were terrified, but Joseph reassured them, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph brought his entire family to Egypt, and they were saved from the famine. The very brothers who had thrown him into a pit now depended on him for their lives. What they had meant for evil, God had turned into salvation for an entire family, and eventually an entire nation. Joseph's story is one of the most powerful examples in the Bible of how pain and betrayal don't get the final word. 13 years passed between the pit and the palace, years where Joseph could not have seen how any of it made sense. But every unjust moment was quietly being woven into something greater than he could imagine. If you're in your own pit right now, unable to see the purpose in your pain, Joseph's story is a reminder. God is not finished writing your story yet. If this story spoke to you, subscribe to Stone and Sling for a new Bible story every week. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that their story isn't over.